Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Nigel with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and here we are again with another build of one of these turrets from Takom, as I said I was going to do. And once again this will be a two-parter, and we will build this, paint it, do the decking, everything, and cover some bits and pieces of the build. I'm not going to show you everything because it's obviously a very simple build. But this is the Bruno, this is the B turret from Bismarck. It's the second, this turret here is the forward turret, Anton, and then this one here is the second turret, which we're doing with all the big, I forget the name of it now, whatever it's called, and you've got all the air vents and everything on there, and we've got all the detail. I've done a review of this. If you haven't seen the review, go take a look. It is a lovely little model, and it makes quite an interesting little piece to show off. And somebody did suggest when I did the review, you can actually buy 76 scale seagulls. So I may well get some if they're not too expensive and just put a couple on the barrel. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to get the box open and we're going to make a start. Now the first thing I'm going to do is get this base done. Because if you remember from my review, what I said was this base isn't flat. Okay, it's in the bag, it's not flat. So the first thing to do is glue these halves together and then let them dry for a good 12-15 hours or whatever, because we're going to have quite a large seam there. It's going to take quite a lot of time to dry out, and we don't want the solvents in the glue to be shrinking after it's done. So I'm going to get these two glued together, get them all clamped up, and then get this glued to this base so that's all solid and flat, and then we can start working on painting the deckwork and everything, or do some more building, whatever we need to do. So I'll see you in a minute once I've got that all glued together. Right, so we've got this glued together now. I've moved on a little bit and done a few bits and pieces. If we go to the instructions, you can see, as I think I showed you before, we've got these two halves of the barbette. Remember the name this time. The barbette being glued together, and then you've got these rings going around the outside. So I've added those. Be careful with those because they do seem to go a certain way up. There is no indication, but when you actually compare, where are we talking? This is the moulded ring here, so this is moulded as part of this. And then when you actually look at these added on sections, it's like there's one, I think the top layer is slightly thinner than the bottom layer, so make sure you get them the right way up and then you get a lovely match then. I've gone around with Mr. Surfacer on here just to try and hide the seams, because when the turret goes on, the turret is slightly smaller and we will see that top edge. So I want to get rid of that and make it all pretty. Glued this together, absolutely gorgeous. You can see no filler, nothing in there whatsoever, all sanded and perfectly done. This is another aspect where you get people that don't actually model themselves designing these kits. I don't know why they couldn't have the design there, the join there, because where they've actually put the seam, if you go forwards through the instructions, where we've built up the whole thing, you've got all the barbette built up and everything and all done. The only part of the barbette that doesn't have any uprights on it or any ladders or anything is right there, and that's where they put the seam. So why didn't they put the seam just to that side? It would have been a lot nicer. But anyway, that's that. So we've got to glue this on, and when we get this glued on, right, so it wasn't the postman, it was a ball coming over the fence. Day one of the school holidays, here we go. Right, so basically that goes together like that, and what I've got to do is get this clamped down because this base isn't flat and I want it to be flat, so I need to clamp it down somehow, glue it with all in situ, leave it to set, and then hopefully it'll hold it all down. And I'm going to do all of that before I do any painting. I also need to give all this a wash because it's all quite greasy, but I'm going to wait until I've got all this sanding done and all the clamping done and everything, and then just wash it all as once. So that's that done. As you know with models, I like to look in the instructions, look forward and see about assemblies of halves of things going together. So here you can see we've got all these drums going together. So I've got the drums here, glued them together, sanded the joints, put some Mr. Surface around the seams, and I've also numbered them because they're all different. So that's that done. I've also done here what I think are the cases for the barrel cleaning rods. So that's those there, they're glued together in their halves and clamped and drying. And then moving forward, we've got the breeches for the guns going in there. Not sure if I'm going to fit them or not, but I built them anyway. If you remember with the Yamato turret, I wish I hadn't put them in. They just got in the way. I should have just used the blast bags to fit them. So we may do the same with this one. We'll see how it goes. But basically they're there and glued together, ready to go. So lots and lots of work done. That's the great thing with these kits. I've done a little tiny bit of work. That's all we've got left in the box. So it's really good with these kits. Is like I say, they're really good for getting your mojo going again. Something else I need to work on is here. Look, I need to get these glued together because that's going to be a seam that's going to have to be dealt with. So I will get that done as well. And it looks like is that like a rod or something there? Looks like we might be replacing that with a brass rod if that's a handle. But we shall see. So anyway, I'll see you back in a minute for some more, which is a minute for me and about, well, a minute for you, a few seconds for you, and probably about a day for me. We shall see. I've been quite busy this afternoon. As some of you know, something that's been bothering me is the fact that this base isn't flat. You can probably see it moving there, and if I had the camera on different angle you'd see it, but yeah, you can certainly hear it. You can probably see it. And I think what's happened is when it's come out of the mould, you've got this great big section here, and I think it's probably shrunk and it's sort of pulled it around. So what, I've measured it and it's sort of smaller in diameter there than it is there, so it needs to be sort of pulled back round again to sort of pull this out and pull that back in. So I put that on the lathe. I found the old gash old piece of wood, it's only a bit of old softwood, and I've turned this disc up. And you can see I've marked out here for drilling where I'm going to drill 4 holes. And I've got some wood screws, and what I'm going to do is fit that in there. So if I push that in there, it kind of pops in and it pulls it all round, and it's kind of, it's all flat. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drill those holes. I've got some screws here. I've got some ordinary cheese heads or whatever you call them, pan heads, and I've got some countersunk. I'll probably use the countersunk because they're actually wood screws. These are self-tappers. And then what I can do is perhaps pack with plastic card or whatever and tighten the screws to get it to pull into a position I want it in. That's why I'm not using glue, I just want to screw it. It also gives it a nice bit of weight as well. So that's what I'm going to do now, is drill those 4 holes and countersink this side of them probably, and then get some pilot holes and get these put in. So wish me luck. And there we go, holes drilled, all ready to go. I've marked an F for the front, so this is the front. So I can position that over there now, line it up with the holes, and then just push down, and it's on. You can see that wood stays in there. And now I've put some countersinks, if that's what you can call them. I call them an angled mess, but never mind. I've done the best with the tools I've got without going out in the garage. So just put these screws in and just nip them up, and then what I can do is pack plastic card under here so that I can actually tighten the screws up without just collapsing everything. Because if I just tighten them up now, it's just going to, the whole centre is just going to cave in. But the idea of the screws is to hold it in place, but also, you see now it's nice as, I have a little bit of rock that way, so it needs to be pulled tighter in here, I think, to pull that out. Okay, but I can see that that inner face is now concave. So if I put this thing on, I've forgotten the name of it again, then basically that's going to fit in there lovely, and we can see that we have a little bit of rock side to side, but I'm not sure. You see this isn't flat. That's not flat either. So that's actually needing to be pulled down where it's not flat, so we're going to actually make that even worse. So we're going to have to basically get this down, get it all clamped in place, and then get this sanded flat. Otherwise when we put the turret on, we'll have a gap around the turret. So but basically, I mean, the problem here is I've got no packing in there, so I'm basically pulling the inside down. If I loosen these screws off, just loosen them off a touch, we can see the inside coming up. Like I say, what I can do is slide some plastic card under there to shim it out, and then I can clamp those screws up without distorting it. We've got a nice flat, there's a slight rock in it that way again. But basically, yeah, we're pulling it around. If I do get a slight rock in it, I can sand the bottom. But I'm happy with that. And with that now all released, this should fit a lot better, and it does. So you can hear it just squeaking. It's just got a tiny bit of movement there. So that's the way to go. So what we'll do now is we'll get some plastic card in there, shim it. It's a lovely base now. It's nice and solid. It's quite weighty. So cool. Happy with that. So I'll get some plastic card in there, get these tightened up, and then I'll see you when I've done all that. And once again, a few hours later, we have this all clamped up and glued. As you can see, I've put sprue goo in 4 places. Got sprue goo around the sides here and there, and then some around the front, because it is quite sort of, everything's all quite stressed. But basically what I've done is clamped it down, and then I've got glue all around the inside and got it all looking lovely. So let's just see how it looks. Let's see if it stays together when it's unclamped. Let's see if it is indeed flat. That's the main thing, is the whole thing stays flat. And the answer is yes. We've got a nice flat base. We've got a lovely seam in there because we've glued it after we've clamped it. If you, my regular followers will know, I always clamp before you glue it, then you don't get glue oozing out. Unless you want glue oozing out to act as a filler to sand back. But there we go. So happy with how that's looking. So basically now I need to get this, I've put another layer of Mr. Surfacer around here because there were some marks where those pieces were joined on. So I'll sand all this nice and flush. I may even just do this on get a piece of wet and dry. What's this one here? That's this one here. What's that on there? That's a 400, and this is Mirka paper. If you're looking for quality paper, look for that name. There's a lot of cheap crap on the market these days, but the Mirka stuff is awesome. I may just get that on the bench and just roll that out like that, and then we can sand that out nice and flat. We'll know it's going to be okay. And then when we put the turret on, we know we won't have a rocking turret or gaps around the turret or anything like that. You can see now that can sand out of there, and we will get a nice flat surface on there. So the other thing with this Mirka paper, of course, you can roll it. Okay, you can roll it into quite a small radius. You get the cheap stuff, like this cheap stuff here. You try and roll it and it just creases up on you. So it's good to get the Mirka paper if you can find it. It's slightly more expensive, but you know, you're talking a few pence on a price of a few pence, so it's not the end of the world. So right, let's get this sanded flat, and then we'll be back after I've done something else. And there we go. That's the base done and ready, nice and flat, and all good. So it's ready now. I've sanded all this down nice and flat as well. We've got no seam showing around there, so that's all good. So when the turret goes on, it'll look lovely. Ready now to give this a wash. Give it a wash down with some IPA or something, because it's had greasy hands all over it. It's been out in the garage. It's been on the lathe while I was test fitting on this piece of wood. So yeah, we need to give this a good clean, ready for some paint. I think I will probably give it a coat of primer, although we don't need to use primer with LP paints. I think I'll probably give it a coat of primer, just so that we know that the paint I use for the wood, because this time I'm going to use oils and watercolours and all sorts to try and get the planking looking good. We shall see how we get on with that. It's going to be really difficult with this one because there are no sort of joins in the planks. It's all just planks. So we need to be really careful that we don't just, you know, get a, you know, one colour, one colour, one colour, one colour, one colour. Just end up with this sort of staggered, you know, like a piano keyboard with a constant repeating pattern. We don't want that. We want it to be very, very random. So I have to be a bit careful with that. I think I'll do it with XF78 deck tan first, or the LP1, LP whatever it is. And then LP16, is it? LP16, LP17, we'll do that one, and then it'll be a nice tough base for us to do the rest of the work on. So that's going to be what we'll do there, and then we'll get all that masked up, and then we'll paint all the grey. I still haven't decided which colour to use for the grey yet. I know it's a very, very light grey. It's almost white. So I don't know what we're going to do with that. I may actually mix something up. We shall see. But anyway, that's what we'll be doing on that one. And then here we've got the barrels all done, and as you can see, they've had a coat of primer, and we've got a lovely smooth seamless finish on there. I've actually opened the ends up. The actual end itself is no bigger than the kit part, but if you remember when I glued them together, the plastic part sort of tapered in. So I've gone in there with I think it was 5mm, I can't remember now, ball cutter, and just open it out so it sort of looks more hollow. And then we'll get some gunmetal paint in there. Somebody did come up when I did my Yamato. They would have painted the inside the barrels black. There really is no point, because as you can see, you can only see a few millimeters into there. There's no point in painting inside the black and risking having your your glue be compromised. So don't do that. There's no need. Basically here we've got the drums done. We've got the ends. I had to put some Mr. Surfacer on here on the ends of all of them just to get them all sanded out nice and flat. You can see they're all lovely and smooth now. And then quick brush of Mr. Surfacer over the joints on here, and then sanded them out and to see where they are now. But so that's those done, and you can see I've written on them with pen which ones they are, because I know the pen will come through the primer. So you can see that one says 4C, so we know the pen comes through the primer, so we're laughing. When we give them a final coat, we will rub that away with some alcohol, and that'll be fine. So that's all looking good, and we're all ready to go. And as I say, get that base primed. But I've now got to get on with something else. I've got to do some work on the F18 so that I can get a video out for you. So let's get on with that. Okay, so before I get any of this painted on here, I've been looking forward in the manual and seeing what else I could really glue on. And sort of looking inside here, we've got all these vents and ducts and everything going up and down, but it's going to make it quite awkward for getting in between them and painting all the decking and everything. So I think what I'm going to do is add them afterwards. I think what I'll do is paint the decking first and then add all that stuff, and then mask the decking up and then add it. But what I do want to do is add these pieces here. We've got this piece here which is B5, and this piece here which is from E, which is, where's that? Here it is. That's B10. So the reason I want to do that is because we have a seam, and if we look, we fit that on there. Again, we've got a seam there that's going to have to be dealt with, and I want to deal with that now before we start playing with the deck and everything. So I'm going to glue these on, get them on nice and solid. You will also notice when you fit those, there is a step down in there. You can see it like steps down, and that is like a gully for the water to run away, because this deck would actually go back here at an angle, and then the bridge would be sort of up here where my hand is. So you have to remember that it's just a section of that would sort of go back. I think it goes back tapered, doesn't it? Yes, it does. It goes back tapering out, so the bridge would be sort of behind there. So that is just a section of it. So we need to make sure we get that all good and get it all glued on the solid, and then we can, I'm not sure if that's going to be painted a darker colour in there. I think it might be. And I think we're also going to put a darker colour around the bottom of here. I think everything around the base has like a sort of, in 200, I think it's like 2mm. So in this scale it's going to be like 4-6mm up there. No, it'll be smaller than that. So it must be about 1mm on the 200, and then it'll be about 3mm on this. It could be that black, that sort of ledge all the way around there is what it is. It's like a sort of black skirting almost around all the superstructures, so we need to make sure we get that done as well. So I'm going to get these glued on and then let that go solid, and then we'll get in here with filler and stuff and blend all that out nicely so that we've got a lovely seamless join there. We don't want a great big seam down there, do we? So pushing ever forward, got the deck painted now, so we've got that done in a LP16, which is deck tan. So that's good. We've got some Mr. Surfacer around it just because I said I want it to be a nice tough coat of paint, because we're going to do a lot of work with it. We also then, once we've done that, we'll mask off the deck. All around these little back bits here are going to be black. We'll have a black band all around here, around here and everything, and then we'll mask that, and then we'll paint this all grey. We'll do the red round there the same as I did before, and then we'll do the black round the base same as I did before. I may do a black, I might do a different colour, but we shall see. So that's that all done. So I'll let that go off now for a few hours before we start really attacking that with other paints and stuff. As we know, the barrels are done. We've got the blast bags done, so they're looking really nice, and they fit beautifully on the barrels. And with this one, unlike Yamato, we can, or Yamato should I say, with this one we can actually slide them on and off. So you could, if you wanted to, have it all interchanging and stuff if the joints work out well. We shall have to see. As I said, I've been working on the F18 and I've got the intakes all done again for the second time. First time I did it, I painted them gloss, and then what did I do to check they were dry? After a couple of hours I stuck my finger up inside to see if the paint was dry. That was sensible, wasn't it? It wasn't. So it ended up having to be all sanded and painted again. They're far from perfect, but I'm going to have to make do with them. I'm spending forever working on these bloody intakes. We've got a bit of a line at the bottom, but I'm not sure, once you've got the lyrics on, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see down there anyway, so we may do some more work on it, we shall see. So back to the Bismarck, we've done the rangefinder covers there, see more around there, that's all done and all sanded out. You can see I've also replaced those handles with some brass, so that's going to look a lot better than the plastic parts. I've got all the bits and pieces cut off that go around the barbette, and we can see how good the fit is. If you look at this, that goes in there. It has tabs on the back. I can fit that in there, and then you can hear it clipping in. That one doesn't have it, just has pins which I've sanded off, but you can hear this one's got tabs. I can put that in there like so, and then you can see that clips in there. I mean, that is actually a good enough fit to just leave without gluing if we don't want to risk messing the gluing up. I mean, that is quite difficult to pull off, so you know, well designed Takom, nice one. I've also done these. I've had a look in my Anatomy of the Ship book, and according to the Anatomy of the Ship book, these are main artillery barrel cases, so wherever the main artillery may be, that's where the spare barrels go. So there we are. So that's basically all I've done. So there we go. We'll do some more work on this deck once we get the paint is dry, and I think in the meantime I'll be working on the F-18, and we'll actually put the actual turret itself together. Right, so moving on, obviously looking at the turret now. In the instructions here, they're telling you to put all the detail onto the turret, build up those rangefinder windows and everything, add your photo etch on the front, and then add more detail here, and then go on and build up the internals, which are the pivots for the guns, and then put it all together. Well, I would suggest that's probably not the best way to go. What I would suggest is do this, then put it together, and then you can hold it, you can handle it, deal with your seam on the bottom and everything without worrying about breaking all this fragile detail off. And then once that's all done and dusted, then we can add the detail then. But before then, I think it would be a silly mistake to start adding detail on there. I think we'll do it the other way around. So what we're going to do now is put these in. Now I've just noticed there is an option here. Is that an option, or is that saying do not cement? It's saying optional, so you don't actually have to add them. We'll add them, because what I can do if I don't want to use them, I can just turn them round out of the way, or just literally cut the end of the barrels off. But we'll put them in anyway. So what we'll do here is put this on there, and then we'll get some liquid cement down behind. Grab my cement here as usual. In fact, I'll use the quick setting. I'll put some of that in there, and hopefully it won't capillary onto the pins. If it does, that's the bit using quick setting. If it does, you can wiggle it until it starts to feel tight, and then it will break away. Put that one on there. No, we can't. We can drop it. So we'll get that one on there. Hold that one in. And get some glue into that joint at the bottom. As you can see, it's glued up, but you can see it's free. So basically we can let that dry, and then that will just free off lovely. Do the same on this one. Put that in there. Remember, there's no right and wrong way on this one because there's no radial features on the barrel, so the barrels can go in any old how. Oops. Some glue in the bottom. Push that down. Do the same on the inboard one. And then we can get all this together and test fit and see if we need it or not, and if we don't we can just rip them out. And then just use the actual blast bags to hold the barrels in. If you haven't seen my Yamato build, turret build, then go and take a look, as I had a bit of a nightmare come the end because these things were a pain. So there we go. Right. Just keep doing that, the glue will let go. Okay, so I don't like the way they've done this. I wish they'd done them as sort of a block you slide on the side and then glue in, because with these split joints, you know, they've actually forced you to be careful with the glue. Whereas they could have had like 2 blocks that go on with holes in them and then glue the blocks down. But, this is a far less satisfactory manner. So that's going to go on there like that. Get it all to line up. There we go. And then we can take about, these are handed, so you can see that one is that side. So yeah, just like Yamato, I think they are a pain in the arse. I think they're getting in the way. It's because I've got the wrong side, that's why. No, I've got the right side. No, I didn't, I got the wrong side. So yeah, basically we can leave them. It's going to make everything a bit stronger. That's a good thing. And then what we can do once it's all glued up, we can get up afterwards and put some glue in those pivots. So if I put that one in there, put that one in there, you can get an idea now of how big it is. You can see my hand. There you can see it's fairly big, and this is an A3 cutting mat, so you can see it's a big old display, and then when it's sat on top of the base it's going to look lovely. So there we are. So we know that they're going to be okay. They're not a pain in the ass like they are on Yamato. Just keep doing that and the glue will let go. It'll be absolutely fine. Right, so there we go. So we can let that go off. And we're done. There we go. We can see I've got a turret all glued together now. I've put the guns in loosely to see, and they are much better than the Yamato guns because they just fit so much better. They're just loosely placed in there. Look. If you remember the troubles I had with them, it was a nightmare. I think with this one you could actually get away with painting the turret, painting these bags, and then actually gluing them in because the fit is that nice. You could just glue the actual barrels into here and not put any glue around here at all. I think it'll look amazing. So I think that's what I'm going to do. That's really, really nice. So much better than the Yamato one. Or Yamato, I keep calling it Yamato, and it's not. It's Yamato. It's not tomato. So there we go. Or you could do like Paul over at Plastic Monkey. He's just got his Tamiya 1/350th Yamato, and he calls it Yamamoto. So never mind, eh? And he's going to be doing some build videos on that soon. So if you want to see the Tamiya 1/350th Premium Edition being built in a different kind of way, then go subscribe to his channel and take a look. It's Plastic Monkey. Go and have a look. So he's the husband of Sue, who is Ice Queen, who does the live streams on a Tuesday and a Sunday, and I think this Sunday I will be appearing on there. We shall see. But anyway, so I've got these clamped, very loosely clamped. In fact, that one's slightly too tight because it's made the base pinch in. So I'm going to see if I can lever that out somehow, because I don't want to be having to sand that all down. If I can get in there and lever that out a bit. No. Okay, well, that's going to need a bit of work then. But I've basically pinched that in a bit too tight there. Hey ho. So basically these clamps are on very, very lightly, otherwise it all just caves in. The rubber band is around the outside to keep it all together and stop it all splaying out. So there we are. So let that dry, do some Mr. Surfacer, go around with the cotton bud, job done. And we're back. So I have been busy doing a lot of cleanup. I've reduced these sprues down to nothing and cleaned up a lot of seams and everything. I've also done all the ladders, cleaned up all the seams on all the ladders, as you can see there. And also in here, you see I have the barrel taped up, and what I have in here is they're stuck to the tape at the other end. These are basically the little railings that go along the top of the turret, so they're all cleaned up and denibbed and everything. So I've got those inside the barrel for safe storage so they don't get broken. So basically I have got a pile of parts here that will end up becoming a Bismarck turret. Got the bits there, and then of course we've got the actual base itself, and we've got some bits in there, and there is obviously a photo etch fret as well, which I haven't really looked into yet, but I will do, because the photo etch is all sort of sticking out and stuff, and I don't want to be knocking it off. So my intention is to build up as much as I can, get rid of most of these parts. So basically we've got grills and stuff that are going to go on the front of these units so you can see the holes, or we've got little bits and pieces. So my intention is to build up as much as I can so I can get rid of the box. And this is one of the big beauties of these turrets, guys, when I say about them being mojo boosters. If you look here, I have a box, and I have been modelling for a few hours, and that's all we have left. And if you bear in mind, those blast bags there aren't going to be used. We've got our 3 reels here, which can go out here. We've got an empty bag, and then all we're left with is a sheet of photo etch. So it's really, really good for those people that want to get the build done fast, get everything out of the way. Then it's good. It's made for you. So so basically we have got a lot of detail to go on the base. It's not like the Yamato one. There's a lot of detail to go on this barbette here, all these meshes and stuff and catwalks and everything. But first of all, I'm going to do is get this turret done, so I can get the turret primed and everything. I'm going to be using XF19 light grey, so we're going to have to prime it with Mr. Surfacer or something. I don't think I have a LP colour that will match the light grey. If I do, I'll use that instead, because then you don't need to use a primer. But in any case, what I'll probably do is paint in behind the ladders first, and then put the ladders on like here. You see the ladder goes on here, so obviously that's in that area there, so I'll paint that area first to make sure we get the paint in there. I also want to get some primer on the ladders and everything, just to seam check them, because it's easier to clean them up. I can see a seam on one of the ladders now, actually. It's easier to clean them up when they're off rather than when they're on. So there we go. I've also done these parts here, C12. They are little moulded handles. As you can see, you've got a great big sprue nib on there, typical massive Takom sprue nibs, unfortunately. And you've also got a couple of bits there to pop off. So instead of doing that, I made a brass rod. So I've got some brass wire there instead. It looks much, much better than having a plastic piece on there. If I could have done these railings that go in here, I would have replaced them, but it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible, but well, certain things are impossible. But very, very difficult with all the little legs on there and everything. So haven't bothered. I've just cleaned up the plastic parts, and as I say, with those I will probably glue them on and then prime them so I can see, and then they'll be held in place ready for sanding. But I much prefer this than what they did on the Yamato one, where they use photo etch, and it's bloody awful. So anyway, right, I'm going to get on and get some bits glued on, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's done. There we go. So the turret now is all built up. These railings on the top here are absolutely lovely. They fit like a dream. They are beautiful. I just put there, you have the pieces going across here, and then the pieces on the side sort of have a kick in the end, so you get this constant sort of radius on the corners. I don't know if you can see that on there. It's beautiful. Just put a drop of super glue in each one after they dried. Sanded it back, and they're absolutely lovely. You know, you put them in place, dab of extra thin quick setting, and then just go along. Absolutely lovely. So much nicer than the photo etch. You've got a round section, you haven't got that flat section. You can glue them with plastic cement, which doesn't leave blobs everywhere. So yeah, really nice. In truth, the Yamato one, I probably should have waited until I got some new super glue. My old super glue was going off and it was a bit thick. It was a very hot day and everything was against me. I should have sort of stopped really. But got these shrouds on the back here. We've got the range finders on the sides. Got the ladders on. Got these here wherever they are. I'm assuming there's some sort of air vents. So that's that. That's the main turret built up. Obviously we've got the guns there to go in. The blast bags. This is all going to get primed. All these bits and pieces here. We've got like a shroud over that one. I've glued that one on while it's still on the sprue. I've just left these on the sprue purely for identification. I think you could easily mix up that one and that one, but this one of course has pins on the back rather than those tabs, so that makes life a lot easier there. Got a ladder on there, we've got some vents on there, we've got some grills and stuff you can see. All looking lovely. Little bits and pieces here, tiny little greeblies. I'm leaving them off for fear they get broken. So these little rings here, whatever they may be, they get attached into these little holes you can see in there. So don't want to put them on, they'll probably get broken off. May put them on, well, I will put them on before final painting, but not just at this point yet. Ladders I've gone round with extra thin. That's what I do, as you know, when I sand things, go over it with extra thin, and then you can get rid of all the fluffy edges and stuff like that. So that needs a bit of a sand. I can see it's got a bit of a bump in the middle where there was a sprue nib. So this is all the sort of things I do. So I'll get all this primed now with Mr. Surfacer, and then I can look at it, inspect it, like this railing here. If you've got any little remnants of sprue nibs sticking out or bits of seam line, you can get rid of that, and you'll see it with the Mr. Surfacer. You won't see it with just the plastic. The other thing I'm looking at is the painting sequence. Now my intention here was to do the deck and then mask off the deck and paint the black, and then mask off the black and paint the grey. I actually think it would be a lot easier to paint the grey, okay, and then mask off and paint the black, and then mask the black and paint the deck, because basically it's easier for the tape. If you're masking something, little one for the newbies here, if you're masking something, it's a lot easier. If it's a radius, it's a lot easier to mask like that, okay, around there and then spray up to it, rather than trying to mask like that into the corner, and then also having that black band around it, because we've got that, there's like a double step there, you can see there's like 2 steps there. So I'm actually thinking of sort of reversing my course and painting this grey. All of this stuff here is such a wonderful fit. I mean, this if you just look at this, it's just absolutely incredible. I think I showed you this earlier. You can put that in there like that, and then you can literally snap it on, and that is in place, and it's quite a job to put it off. So, you know, I probably don't even need to glue them. Maybe just put a little bit of glue in the slots, in the middle of the slots, and then push them in, because I mean, and that'll save all the problem with glue around here. It'll save all the issues about any you know, glue ruining the paint or whatever. It also means I can paint it first, and you can see here that pulling that off, it's quite a job. So I mean, I don't think they'd actually fall off anyway, even if I didn't glue them at all, but you know, it's such a good thing. The only one here was this one here, these 3 small pins on the back, and I ground them off because they didn't line up with the structure, so that'll have to be glued. But I guess I could just, you know, put a bit of glue in these corners and just rest it there. You know, no one's going to be pulling on them or stressing them or anything, so we could just leave them. I've just noticed I'm going to take off that sprue nib while I'm here, because I didn't notice it before. I haven't removed that sprue nib properly. And I was chatting to some friends last night regarding sanding, and I was talking to them about the differences with hard sticks and sponges, and it was quite an interesting conversation. And I might do a video about sanding using different mediums, should I say. So it's all looking really good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call it a day there for part 1, because basically what I'm going to do now is just paint, and obviously I'm not going to video me painting it. So I think what I'm going to do is go away, think about how I'm going to do this, and I'm thinking I'm going to go with the grey first, even if I only do a band around the bottom that I can then roughly mask, and then mask off and do the black, and then mask the black and do the deck again, and then we can start with our brush painting and oils and stuff, because we've got to have this black band around there. These blacks around here I could probably hand paint them, because obviously there's like a black skirting on everything on Bismarck, has a black skirting, and of course we've also got this area, this gully in here, that's got to be painted a darker colour as well, so we'll do all that after we've done that, and obviously the hatches and bits and pieces will have to be painted grey. What I have done, I have been looking at my paints, and I have here LP32 and LP34. Now LP34 is a light grey. I couldn't find any good instructions for painting Bismarck, so if any of you guys can help me, it'd be interesting to know. But I saw a Flyhawk instruction sheet that suggested XF19, okay, which I think may be a touch too dark, I don't know. But we've got this one here, this is the light grey LP34, which is a lot lighter than the XF19. Or I've got this one here, light grey IJN, which is very close to the XF19 but slightly lighter. And I'm kind of wondering, I mean Bismarck was almost white, I think. The superstructure was very light in colour, and I'm wondering if that is going to be the one. Let me know in the comments. I know it was 7038, wasn't it? RL 7038 or something. But it's something I need to look into, and I'll do some more digging. But if you know for sure what colour she should be, then please let me know. So, and it's no good just saying it should be RL 765, because I need to know what colour paint I need to use. You know, not the RL number, the actual Tamiya colour, because I'd like to use Tamiya LB if I can. Because obviously it's lovely paint and it goes down silky smooth and it's super tough. And it also leaves a very nice sort of slight, very slight satiny sheen to it, which is lovely. Because I'm not weathering these, I'm building those like museum pieces. So we can see on that ladder now where I've gone over the extra thin, there's a bit of a high spot there, so we'll just take that away, just like so. There we go, job done. So anyway, thanks for watching guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Like I say, this has been part 1. There will be a part 2, there may be a part 3, but will probably just be a part 1 and part 2. So I'm going to go away and think about this. In the meantime, if you guys can let me know about the grey colour, I'd be really, really grateful. And please, not what you think, please what you know. Not I reckon it was light grey. That's no use whatsoever, because I know that already. What I need is, it is definitely LP34. That is the colour. Tamiya made that for German chips. If you can let me know in the comments, I'd be grateful. Thank you. Just one more thing quickly, guys. Today is Friday the 29th, yeah, the 29th of July 2022. Yesterday, Plastic Monkey did his first build video. His channel is called Plastic Monkey. Go take a look. He's actually doing a build series on the beautiful Tamiya 1/350th scale premium Yamato. He did a little sort of 7-minute video just to get his feet under the table and sort of see how he felt about doing it, and it went really well. So today he's going to start and get another video out there, starting on working on the hull. So please go and have a look over there. Go and get subscribed, give him some support. He's only got like 240 odd subs, I think, 250 probably by now. And it'd be nice to see him sort of get up there and you know, get to the point where he can get his proper URL and all that, and then maybe if any luck get to the 1,000, that'd be great. So yeah, go and have a look, give him a like and subscribe, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. He's nothing like me. He'll just sit there and he's just gonna build it, and if you tell him he's done something wrong, he'll say, oh. You know, if he wants to paint his Yamato blue, he will, and that's it, final, that's that. So anyway, yeah, go take a look and you'll like what you see, because it's just down to earth, good honest model building. So go and have a look. I'll put a link in the comments down below, or in the description down below, sorry. Thanks for watching, bye for now.